the big news today is that Dr. Cornel West is running for president of the United States, which I think is excellent. I think it's tremendous. He made this tremendous campaign announcement today. This is Dr. Cornel West.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for president of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party. I enter in the quest for...
Yes, the People's Party. I am exhilarated. We at the Center for Political Innovation, we do not endorse any candidate, and we will not campaign for any candidate. And we want to engage with people all across the political spectrum. Our members go to RFK meetups and talk to people there. Some of the members of our community, shout out to Lori and others. They are really on board with RFK. Shout out to them. But we also have members of our community that are MAGA all the way, want to see Donald Trump get reelected. We also have members of our community that are hanging out with Marianne Williamson. We have members of our community that abstain from voting. We CPI are not politically aligned, but the People's Party, we worked with the People's Party to put on the Rage Against the War Machine rally in Washington, D.C., which was an amazing experience. Nick Brana, the chair of the People's Party, who is just an amazing, dynamic person all around. He has come to CPI events. So the fact the People's Party is going to run a big name like Cornel West, the well-respected academic, the author of Race Matters and Democracy Matters, longtime advocate of socialism and healthcare for all, and an outspoken figure from Union Theological Seminary talking about civil rights and all that. This is a great development.
Truth, I enter into quest for justice, and the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life. I come from a tradition where I care about you. I care about the quality of your life. I care about whether you have access to a job with a living wage, decent housing, women having control over their bodies, health care for all, de-escalating the destruction of the planet, the destruction of American democracy. Democracy creates disruption. It creates an eruption. It creates an interruption. Wide from below, the energies of everyday people is manifest. And I know there are precious people in your life who you care for. That's why it's important for you to be involved, important for you to participate. We're not talking about hating anybody. We're talking about loving. We're talking about affirming. We're talking about empowering those who have been pushed to the margins. Because neither political party wants to tell the truth about Wall Street, about Ukraine, about the Pentagon, about big tech. Neo-fascists like Brother Trump, or milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden. Wow, I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean? Well, I know gangsters when I see them. And gangster's not a subjective expression, it's an objective condition. Do we have what it takes? We shall see. But some of us are going to go down fighting, go down swinging with style and a smile, accenting the best in you and trying to tease out the best in me. Let's do it together.
Wow. It's really happening. It is really happening, folks. Dr. Cornel West is running for the presidency of the United States. And I'm thrilled. I am absolutely thrilled that this is happening. I think anybody running against Biden in this upcoming election is a good thing. We don't endorse any candidate, but I think this is a great development, a tremendous, tremendous development. He's running on the People's Party ticket. And look, I got to tell you, I think I have met Cornel West once or twice in my life. I've been at events where he's at and stuff. But, probably the most intimate connection I have with Cornel West is at one point, one of my roommates was arrested with Cornel West in a civil disobedience, protesting stop and frisk. Do people know what stop and frisk is? It used to be in New York City. They had this policy that was in effect where the police could stop you and pat you down for weapons at any time without a warrant, right? And that completely violates the U.S. Constitution. The police do not have a right to search you without a warrant, right? I mean, if they're going to look in your bag, if they're going to look in your come into your house and search you, they have to have a warrant. There has to be a procedure, right? The Constitution protects us in the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution specifically protects us from unwarranted search and seizure. Not unwarranted in the sense they shouldn't do it, but unwarranted in the sense the judge has not said that it is necessary to do it. But in New York City, for the longest time, they had stop and frisk where the police could just pat anybody down at any time. They'd see you, they'd pick people out randomly and pat them down for weapons, which is completely illegal. And it was mainly targeting Black people. And the main reason they were doing it was they were saying, well, we don't want there to be guns. We don't want there to be guns. We don't want there to be guns. And, did this stop gang violence or guns in New York City? No, there was plenty of shootings. There's plenty of guns and violence in New York City. The stop and frisk policy of grabbing random people who almost always happened to be Black and patting them down for weapons, that did not change the policy. So Cornel West and a number of people, they were involved in some very heroic civil disobedience protests against stop and frisk. And one of my roommates was arrested in those protests. And they went to trial, and it was very exciting. It was important. It was an important piece of activism that they were engaging in. And they talked about, Cornel West testifying on the witness stand and all that. It was a really important development. And I mean, Cornel West, I don't agree with some of the stuff he says about Iran, and I don't agree with him on everything, of course. And I mean, again, we don't endorse any candidate here, but he's largely a good figure. And during the Obama years, he represented a figure in the Black community who was holding Obama's feet to the fire, calling out Barack Obama for the disappointment that he was, emphasizing and setting the stage for the Bernie Sanders surge, demanding Medicare for all, free healthcare, free college for all. He's a longtime member of the Democratic Socialists of America, a well-respected academic, who was in academia, criticizing capitalism and raising issues around racism and such. And I think this is a great development that he's running. He's going to run against Joe Biden in the 2024 election, right? So now we've got RFK running against Joe Biden. Social media is already being rigged. Social media is already being rigged against RFK, and they're taking YouTube channels down. And RFK, it's important to note, RFK has made a point of saying that Sirhan did not kill his father. I mean, the interviews that RFK has given, whoa, he's speaking up and saying that the CIA killed his father, and he's speaking up about various issues related to big pharma and other things. And they are, even though he's pro-Israel, which I am not, and he took back his support for Roger Waters, RFK is doing a good thing by running. I think it's a really good thing that RFK is running. Marianne Williamson, she's doing good stuff by running also. Anyone who can speak up, because the woke fascists are all rallying behind Biden at this point, right? You're either with him or against him. It's like the Bush years, right? They don't care if you're left or right. They think anyone who runs against Joe Biden is a Nazi. And just today, social media exploded with attacks on Cornel West and on the People's Party. And we don't approve. We don't approve of that. And we're going to talk about a lot of different things on this stream, but I saw this video by Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk, and I was just disgusted. And so I'm going to put on here their response to Dr. Cornel West announcing that he's going to run for president was to just go on a tirade against the People's Party, a disgusting tirade against the People's Party. And this video is awful. It's absolutely awful. We're going to play some of it here. I don't know if we're going to go through all the way through it, but it's like there's just so many layers of dumb shit said in this video. I don't know where to begin.
Apparently, Cornel West is running for president. Now, he's not running as a Democrat. He's not running in the Green Party. He's not even running as an independent, although I think that might be a little up in the air depending on the structure of the party he's actually running for.
First of all, I skipped ahead in this video because I didn't even want to show you the beginning. This whole video just reeks of, you can tell that Crystal Ball and Kyle Kalinske, they see themselves as beautiful people. You know, they're not dirty activists who go organize things and all of that. They're superstars with their sunglasses, and they're just so cool, and they're just so much better than all of us, right? I mean, it's the smug that comes out of these people. This is how they get people to be sellouts, is they start blowing smoke up their ass, and they feel all special, right? And they inflate their social media. They rig the algorithms to make their social media big. And they start walking around, oh, I'm so important. Look at us. We're so important. So they're driving down the road with their sunglasses on, making a video for Secular Talk, reacting to Cornel West running for president of the People's Party ticket. Oh, they're just so special. They're just so important. They don't dirty themselves with third parties and protests and organizing and getting people out there. They're important social media people. It's this scummy attitude. And I've seen this before. There are people that, you know, are legit, you know, anti-imperialist activists and others, but then suddenly somebody gets to them, they sell their soul to the devil, and suddenly they are so important. It's this smug importance. And that's what this whole video just reeks of, right? I mean, Dr. Cornel West announced he's running for president, which is an important thing because Biden's presidency is an absolute train wreck. An absolute train wreck. And are they going to support this? No, but they are so important. They're driving down the road and they're just going to give us this smug. Here we go.
But he's running in the People's Party. Now, for those of you who don't know, the People's Party was created, I believe it was after the 2016 race of Bernie. A staffer for Bernie by the name of...
Many people, not just a staffer for Bernie, but many people in the Bernie Sanders campaign saw that the Democratic Party was rigged. They were furious. They were at the convention. They were outraged. They saw that the Democratic Party was rigged. And many, many people, they formed Movement for a People's Party and eventually formed the People's Party, a new party outside of the Democratic Party. No, it wasn't just one guy. Wasn't just one guy. So even right there, you can tell how smug these people are being.
Nick Brana decided he was going to create this third party. So they've been around since, I don't know, 2016 or 17 or 18.
Right, look how he's framing it. He already is making it sound like one guy, right? And this shows you this is how they operate, right? They pick one person to be like the poster child for something, and then they smear that person. And then they just throw as much feces and garbage at that person as they can. And that's what they're doing, because everybody loves Cornel West. So they're not going to go after Cornel West here. They made it sound like one guy started the People's Party, which is a lie. And now they've said his name, and now they're going to make this all just about this one guy and why you're supposed to hate this one guy because the internet said so.
Latest, something like that.
Yeah.
And they've been around since then. They don't have ballot access, and they've never gotten a candidate elected.
Yeah, because they're new. They didn't fully form as a party until 2020, mind you. They were the Movement for a People's Party, so they haven't been. And this is the first presidential cycle that they've had a candidate. They weren't even. They were formed basically in opposition to the Democrat National Convention in 2020. So you're just oh, this is the first. They don't have anyone elected to. They just started. This is the first presidential election cycle that they've been in existence as a party. Like, grow up. I mean, it's just so much of this, just anything to show them in a negative light.
So, and then there's been all this reporting and all these questions around the structure of the organization.
What does that mean? What does that mean? There's been all these questions about the reporting. It's like he's not naming anything specific because he doesn't know anything, because he's just trying to cast suspicion in your mind. He doesn't say anything specific. Oh, there's all these questions. There's all this, This is how you can tell. This is how smears operate.
There's all sorts of like sexual harassment allegations against
all sorts of like, there's one person who said one thing and it's bullshit. There's all sorts of, there's one person who said one thing and it's bullshit.
Nick Brana. There was some sort of like a coup of the leadership positions that Brana did. Like,
no, there was an attempt to make them a pro big pharma party, and Nick Brana and all them resisted the coup. And afterwards, the people who lost decided to go on a character assassination attempt against Nick Brana while they cozied up to the squad and the DNC. That's what happened, right? There was not a coup. There was an attempted coup that failed by pro big pharma, pro squad Democrats. They lost. And afterwards, then they unloaded all kinds of allegations and started, spewing crap at Nick Brana. That's all that happened, right? And it was one person who was dating Nick Brana, and since dating him has decided, it started out that, he shouldn't have dated anybody in the organization, which, I mean, there's something to be said for that, right? People make mistakes, myself included, right? You got to keep your love life, your romance life out of your organizations if you're going to operate, right? Just because of dynamics. So people make mistakes. So they took some people dating in the organization, and they took that, and then they turned it into sexual harassment, and the allegations all heated, and it's all centered around one person. And he makes it say there's all kinds of, there's one person who consensually dated another person, and then afterwards decided it was inappropriate that they dated him. And they have blown this up into all kinds of outrageous, insane stuff. This is ridiculous. And they're throwing, and what does this have to do with Cornel West running for president? What does it have to do with it, right? This character assassination against Nick Brana. What does this have to do with it? This is how these people operate, right? There's questions about the structure, no specific allegation. There's all kinds of, no, there's not. There's one allegation that is just wrecking bullshit, as Jenny Lynn is accurately pointing out. It's a classic rhetorical trick. They are constructing a public. And it's just, this is just classic DNC smear operations, right? Somebody dated somebody and felt bad about that. Ooh, let's turn that into sexual harassment. Ooh, let's turn that into rape. Ooh, let's turn that into them being Nazis. Some people tried to take over the group and failed. Let's turn that into the structure of the group is completely, it's like anything they can take to smear, to attack. And they're so important. They're so special because they're driving down the highway with their sunglasses on, and they have big YouTube channels because social media is rigged. Can't stand these people. Cannot stand these people.
Basically, the organization itself is a total mess.
No, it's not. What's a mess is that you guys have turned against it, and that social media is rigged, and that anybody who stands up against the war drive, anybody who stands up against it, anyone who stands up against the DNC woke fascist machine gets smeared like this, right? And it's always bullshit. And it's always rumors. It's always innuendo. It's never specific. It's always, it's always bullshit, right? The People's Party is not a mess. They sponsored the Rage Against the War Machine rally, which was awesome. Tulsi Gabbard was there. The Libertarian Party sponsored it with them. I mean, it was amazing, right? Jimmy Dore was there. Max Blumenthal was there. It was amazing, the Rage Against the War Machine rally. They put it all together, and they had to deal with all kinds of harassment from the Department of Homeland Security and all kinds of people who didn't want them to have the event, and they did it anyway. So, the People's Party is not a mess by any means. And they just got Cornel West to be their candidate for president. How in the world can they be a mess if they've been hit with all these smears and innuendo and attacks on the internet? And they still managed to have a huge rally in Washington, D.C. that thousands of people went to. And then on top of that, to top it all off, they just got one of the most respected left-wing black intellectuals to be their candidate for president. How in the world can the People's Party be a mess? That's just I'm sorry, any organization that's capable of pulling that off. Has the Communist Party done anything close to that in recent years? No. Has the Workers' World Party done anything close to that in recent years? No. Has I don't know, has I mean, name one organization that is doing anything near this, right? And then John McCarthy points out, meanwhile, they want people to vote for rapist Biden. Exactly. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. The People's Party is doing shit. They are really getting shit done. They have national rallies in Washington, D.C. They just got one, probably the most respected black intellectual and left-wing voice in the United States to be their candidate for president. You're calling them a mess? Oh, look at any other left-wing party. Oh, geez, what is the Socialist Party doing shit like this? Oh boy, what about the oh geez, the Spartacist League? I guess name one other left-wing group that is doing anything near what the People's Party is doing on a national scale. Give me a break. And they're a mess. They're a mess. No, you're a mess.
So when it comes to Cornel West, I love Cornel West. We had him on Crystal Kyle and Friends.
Yeah, everybody loves Cornel West. And that's why you have to deal with the cognitive dissonance of social media being rigged to tell you to hate the People's Party and them nominating a guy that everyone loves.
He's a hero of mine.
He's
really...
Oh, he's a hero of yours. He's a hero of yours, right? So many people love him. You don't want to attack him, but that's what you're doing. You're smearing his election campaign. You're smearing the party that he chose to run with.
You do
respect him, yeah.
And
we like him. And look at how her face goes down. Look at how Crystal's. Oh yeah, we like Cornel West. They don't like Cornel West. They don't respect Cornel West. No, they don't respect Cornel West. But they know they're not going to gain any points by attacking someone that progressives love. So, oh yeah, we love him. He's a hero of mine. We're so important in our sunglasses. We're so sexy.
Love how he's really good at going into spaces where like people would disagree with him,
yes,
and making himself be really likable and really agreeable while not.
Oh, she totally means that. Yes, he does an amazing job. She's looking down with her sunglasses. She hates Cornel West's guts.
While not like giving up his principles at all.
Yes, this is the stuff we practiced saying beforehand because we don't want to alienate everyone who loves Cornel West, but we hate his he did a great job on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's just a very dynamic, charismatic. I'm sorry. He did a great job on Joe Rogan's podcast. You do realize Cornel West has been around for decades, right? He's been doing stuff since the 80s. He was key in getting stop and frisk ended in New York City, leading acts of civil disobedience. That's what you got. He was good on Joe Rogan's podcast. Really? That's what you got, Kyle. That's what you know about Cornel West. He was good on a podcast one time. This is one of the most well-respected black intellectuals in America, has been arrested many times in civil disobedience protests, as an outspoken advocate of socialism, a critic of the prison industrial complex, someone who's been fighting for low-income African-American people for decades. But, he was good on a podcast one time. And we've been told we can't just take a dump on him. We're going to make this about Nick Brana. Okay. Ugh.
Intelligent guy who I happen to agree with on.
Oh my God. Like, so condescending. Yes, he's a very intelligent guy. Why don't you call him well-spoken too, right? He's a well-spoken, intelligent person, right? I mean, this is such condescending white liberal shit. I saw him on a podcast one time. He did a good job. He's intelligent. Yeah, he was intelligent. I was surprised. Black people usually aren't intelligent, but he was good on Joe Rogan's podcast one time. This is the most smug upper class liberal while they're driving their SUV down the highway, mad that someone's running against the Democrats. This most smug white liberal condescending shit I've ever heard,
Probably 90% of policy stuff.
Yeah.
So I love Cornel West.
I love him. Yes. NPR. I love black people, right? I mean, that's the trendy thing to do now. That's woke, right? Black Lives Matter. word up in the hood.
I love Cornel West.
Oh yeah, I love him.
But honestly, Mike,
yes, we love him. We love him. We love black people. That's the hip, cool thing to do now. That's why we're driving down the road in our SUV. That's why we vote for the Democratic Party, because we, we're totally woke, brother. That is how it is, right? We hate low income Trump red state people. Trust us. If we could shoot somebody in the NRA, we would totally do it. We wouldn't buy the gun first because gun ownership is totally racist. But oh yes, we love black people. He did a great job, a tremendous job on the Joe Rogan show. When he went on that Joe Rogan podcast that one time, I saw him talk, and it was just utterly amazing. Oh my God, oh my God, let's go drink some latte.
Theory on this, and I'm curious what you think, Crystal, is that I don't think he looked into the People's Party at all.
Right. I just think this black guy is so stupid that he never looked into the party he decided to run for office on. It's not his fault. He's being manipulated by, evil communists, right? It's not the black people that are protesting for their rights. It's those outside agitators from New York City that are coming down there and stirring up the black people. They were all happy before the civil rights movement got going. But, Cornel West is just clearly not intelligent enough to know what party he's running on. It's an evil communist agitator named Nick Brana who manipulated good Cornel West into doing what he's doing. We love Cornel West, but he's been duped. He's been duped into doing this. Good Cornel West would support Biden, but this is the most condescending, racist, white ass shit I've ever seen.
You know what I mean? Like, I genuinely think it's sort of like a boomer moment where...
Yeah, he's calling Cornel West stupid. Can you believe this? He's basically saying that Cornel West doesn't know what he's doing. Cornel West is a good person, but he never Googled the People's Party like we did. This is really, really fucking racist. This is really racist. Can you believe this? They're trying to tell us that Cornel West doesn't know what party he's running on. You think Cornel West hasn't heard all the garbage they've thrown at Nick Brana? This is shocking to me, right? And these are the same people that are always, they're so woke, everyone's racist. These folks, they're saying that Cornel West is too stupid to know what party he's running for president on. It's a boomer moment. He just doesn't know. This is holy shit.
He was approached and, hey, we want you to run and be our candidate or whatever, which, by the way, is a whole separate question, because usually the way these things...
He was approached, some bad people walked up to good Cornel, who we love, we totally love, we don't hate, and some bad people walked up to him and manipulated him into running for office. They tricked him. He would never have done this. He's a good guy. He's a good person, but some bad people tricked Cornel into running against the Democrats. Oh, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Is you have a fucking primary to determine who your candidate is going to be, and the People's Party apparently just anoints somebody, which is kind of weird if you want to be like, we're the democracy people. Are you really? You just anointed somebody the head of your party. That's not the way you're supposed to have an election to figure out who's going to be the leader. But anyway,
fair point.
I love Cornel West, so that's a side point, but I don't think he knew about all the issues with the People's Party.
No, he couldn't possibly use Google, right? Cornel West, the most respected academic who's been teaching philosophy and history for years and is just a well-known organizer, etc., who's one of the founders of the People's Party. He spoke at their founding convention. He just doesn't know what he's doing. No, he doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, he has no idea. And the primary thing, look, the People's Party has known that they have been trying to get various people like Jimmy Dore or others to be their candidate for a long time, right? And that they have been trying to figure this out. And so this is a great step forward for them. They're a small party. They're a new party. And for them to, what are they supposed to do? Like pick somebody else to run against Cornel West so they can have a primary or something? They're a small party. They're trying to get going. This is really something special, folks. This is, Cornel West, he knows not what he did, right? Cornel West would never run against the Democratic Party. We like him. We saw him on Joe Rogan one time. He's been manipulated by maniacal Nick Brana, right?
I mean, all it requires is like a Google search and digging a little bit deep, and he would have found it. But
yeah, but I guess you don't think he's that smart. You just think he's that stupid, right? I mean, you just said yourself, all it would require is a Google search for them to find out all the smears that have been thrown at the People's Party. And you think that Cornel West is not intelligent enough to do that. Like, this is on the level, I don't know if you guys know, but during the civil rights movement, this is important history. It was commonly argued by the Ku Klux Klan and by the white supremacists that the civil rights movement was a Jewish communist conspiracy. That's what they're arguing here, right? That Nick Brana, and is he Jewish? I don't know. That Nick Brana, the Jewish communist organizer, manipulated Cornel West to run for office. He would never do. I mean, this is like an alt-right white supremacist trope right here, right? Nick Brana is a civil rights organizer going down to the South and stirring up the black people. I mean, that's what they're arguing here. This is like something straight out of a Ku Klux Klan pamphlet from the 1950s. That's what they're arguing here. And that Cornel West is just too stupid to use Google. I mean, this is off the charts. This is off the charts.
I guess he didn't do it. And so my guess is he's probably surprised right now at the backlash that's happening online.
No, he's not. Because the backlash has been going on for years. It's been going on. Dude, he's not surprised at all. This is some of the most racist shit. I mean, this is the most condescending, racist bullshit I've ever heard.
There's a decent amount of backlash where people are like, what are you doing? Like, do you know, like, who these people are? And then I see a lot of people making a point, which I think is a fair point, which is like, if you're going to run as a Green Party or an independent, because the Green Party, for example, I think the last election they had ballot access for 48 states.
Yeah, they have a real organization.
Yeah, even like the Libertarians have between like 48 states and 50 and all the states. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the Green Party is completely controlled by, liberals, right? It's a completely woke party with Howie Hawkins. And I mean, oh my God.
As far as third parties go, the only ones that are even remotely viable, and I use that term loosely, is the Green Party and the Libertarians.
I mean, you also have, DSA out there, which has never fielded a presidential candidate before, but they have, chapters nationwide.
Good Lord. That is such an ignorant statement. Nothing annoys me, I must say, more than people saying this. I mean, this is, how can she say that? How can she say this? Right? I mean, this is, the DSA, they've never fielded a candidate. Yeah, they have. The DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, were formed in the early 80s as the new communist movement of the 1970s was dying. They are not a party, and they historically have endorsed various Democratic Party candidates. And there have been many Democratic Party candidates. Bernie Sanders is a member of DSA, and he ran, woo. But I mean, that is the height of ignorance. DSA has been around a long time, and they're on there like, rambling about, they all know the history. You don't know the history of Michael Harrington and the Democratic Socialist Organizing Committee and the New American Movement. Oh my God, the DSA, they've never run a candidate before. I think they have, and his name's Bernie Sanders. I think they have. They've run many candidates before, and DSA is like an association, not a party. And oh boy.
Organization with some sort of, infrastructure that could theoretically be mustered behind you. So it's perplexing. It's very confusing.
So the DSA strategy is the same as my strategy, which is, you be part of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, but run as a Democrat. Now, why would you run as a
It's the same as your strategy, Kyle. Interesting. And also the DSA leadership, have ties to the CIA, and that's very well documented. I mean, it was the State Department socialists from the Socialist Party, and they have your strategy, which is just remain a Democrat. And they're smart like you, not like Cornel West, who apparently you think is too dumb to Google anything.
Democrat. It's very simple. In this country, we have first past the post voting, and we don't have ranked choice voting. As long as you have...
Right, and apparently you think you're smarter than... I got to turn this off. I'm getting too angry, and when I get too fired up on these streams, it's not pleasant. But this is some of the most condescending, white liberal elitist, and and I don't know. I just don't want to. I don't even want to hear it. But again, the Center for Political Innovation, we do not endorse any candidate, right? We are independent. There are, people in our group who campaign for various candidates, and we as an organization are independent. However, it has really been an honor, an absolute honor, to have Nick Brana come to our events. And he has spoken at 2 different CPI events, and we were official endorsers of his rally, the rally that the People's Party and the Libertarian Party put on. We were sponsors and endorsers of their rally that they did, the Rage Against the War Machine protest. We were very honored to do it and to put on a reception afterwards with Scott Ritter that we did on February 19th. It was just a really, really great day in Washington, D.C. This is Nick Brana. This is when he spoke at our recent CPI conference that we did in Washington, D.C.
I am really, really excited to bring
this is Peter Coffin,
first gentleman onto the stage, the chair of the People's Party. Now, we all know the 2 big parties in this country, the Democrats and the Republicans, have a stranglehold on U.S. politics. It is very hard for new ideas, new voices, new people to come in and exert some kind of influence. They are holding third parties back. Nick Brana, he is going to come and speak to you about this, and I am so excited. Please put your hands together. Please make him feel welcome. Very excited.
Hey, it's so great to see you all. Is this thing detachable? Yeah, probably, but I guess, I don't know if the camera would catch it. It's great to see you all. It's always. I saw a bunch of you guys in Chicago at the last CPI, big CPI get-together. It was also a fantastic event, like Elizabeth talked about. And so it's great to be with you all again. I want to say a little bit to begin with about the Democracy Summit. And so I did some reading before the event on the Democracy Summit. And it turns out they have these 5 pillars of what they're supposed to be fighting for, to achieve from the last summit they did like a couple of years ago. These are great. So the first one is promoting independent media. Promoting independent media. Not a joke. The next one, protecting journalists. Not a joke. After that, fighting corruption. It's a clown show. It's the United States. We all know what the Democracy Summit really is. It's the United States trying to desperately wrangle together whoever they feel is still in their imperial control and dominion for a veneer of legitimacy for this war that they're waging in Ukraine.
Nick is so awesome, by the way. Nick Brana is just such an awesome organizer, such a dedicated person. I mean, this is great.
The third world war that they've started right now, and this desperate attempt to maintain American hegemony in a world where the rest of the world is rising and going right by the United States. I want to tell you something else too. So, and I think you'll find this pretty interesting. So, in case anybody didn't know, CPI and everybody here, we are very much on the radars of the security state of...
Yeah, wait till you hear this. If you didn't know about this, I'm glad he pointed this out in his speech.
The intelligence agencies, of everybody who is trying to suppress us, and I'm gonna tell you just how much so.
This took balls. This really took balls on Nick's part. I hate to be crass here, but this really took courage for him to get up in front of a group of people and spill the beans here. Take a listen to this. This is going to blow your mind.
So few days before this gathering, I got an email from none other than Homeland Security. That's right. And they wanted to know where the event was going to be. And this was right after I published my tweet saying that I was going to be there. That's right. Not a joke. I'll show it to you later.
And he did. He showed it to me later. The Department of Homeland Security emailed Nick Brana to ask him about our upcoming event, right? And he had the courage to get on the stage and say, all right, U.S. deep state, you want to try to let us know you're monitoring CPI? Well, I'm going to go public with this. Nick Brana is an amazing person. I absolutely love Nick Brana. That took courage on his part.
And so this was a message. It was a message. We know you're going. We know what's going to happen. And we have our eye on you. And that's how threatened they are. And they should be threatened because they know that they don't have a public mandate, a popular mandate. They know that the people aren't with them. If they thought they had any kind of public backing, they wouldn't feel the need to try to threaten or intimidate or send those kinds of messages to people, to activists who are here, who are fighting for a country that doesn't just benefit billionaires and that isn't threatening a nuclear war. So just about a month ago, we organized another event that was very much on their radar. Elizabeth shouted it out. Many others, Rage Against the War Machine.
And you don't know how hard Nick Brana worked to make Rage Against the War Machine happen. You don't know how much stress this man had to deal with. I was in some chat groups and all of this. You guys have really no idea the amount of headaches and anxiety that Nick Brana went through in the lead up to February 19th. Like, this man deserves a medal. You have no idea what a dedicated, heroic anti-imperialist Nick Brana really is.
Like Elizabeth said, it was the largest anti-war demonstration in the United States. Thousands of people joined us. The largest demonstration in almost 20 years since the Iraq War. Incredible. And we immediately saw how threatening it was to the powerful, because right afterwards, we were attacked by MSNBC, not once, but twice. Rachel Maddow attacked us on primetime, and Joy-Ann Reid attacked us too. Ironically, MSNBC, though, had another reporter on the ground who apparently didn't get the memo. And so this reporter did. She was obviously new, didn't know very much about, how MSNBC does things. And so she went there and she actually talked to the people and she said, why are you here? And the responses, of course, were not the caricature that Rachel Maddow and Joy-Ann Reid created. It wasn't, Rachel, for anyone who hasn't seen Rachel Maddow's coverage, you got to see it. It's hilarious, Doesn't read a word of the website, doesn't talk to anyone at the event, just sees some Russian flags and says, it's Russia, it's all Russia. They must be completely just pro-Putin, Putin apologists. Well, this other journalist that they sent, she actually talked to people who were at the rally, and they said completely unreasonable things like, we got problems in our communities. And I'm tired of billions of dollars that I pay to our government going to wage wars and kill people abroad. I don't want to start a nuclear war. Someone who had a great sign that I remember that said, nuclear war is really bad climate change. I think that made it into the segment. Another one, Joe Biden is the Nord Stream bomber. That made it into two of them. And we all know, like Arland was talking about, they've changed their story already on what happened with Nord Stream because they're reeling, they're reeling. So now we're supposed to believe that the Ukrainian Justice League, blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Just these rogue Ukrainians that, went and destroyed it, that have the ability, they have this military grade explosives, and they made it to the bottom of the Baltic. But this is the level of the stupidity that they want us to believe, just like they want us to believe that Russia's actual aim here is that, if we don't stop Putin and Russia in Ukraine, then they're going to be rolling through Berlin and Paris and Brussels right after that, and then they're going to cross the Atlantic, and they're going to be in New York and Kansas City and Cleveland, Missouri. This is the level of stupidity, though, that they expect us to believe, and the corporate media regurgitates it, no matter how dumb it is, no matter what kind of lack of factual basis it might have. And that's why we're really at a point of a crossroads in this country, like Scott was saying. And, I think shout out to Scott, because Scott is an incredible champion for all of these issues, and he has been for decades. And he gets smeared and attacked in so many different ways. The way he stood up to the Bush administration and the media during the run-up to the Iraq War and tried to stop that war, the way he's tried to stop this war, the way he participated in trying to denuclearize the world, everything that he's done, the treaties that have now been undone. And so I told Scott, and Scott, I think you all know, Scott wasn't able to speak at Rage Against the War Machine, but that wasn't all of our perspective. I certainly wanted Scott there. That's right. But that's a testament to Scott's character, is because Scott knew that in order for the rally to continue and for the cause, he needed to step back. And he did. And that's something that we wanted. But I've talked to Scott and I told him, we are right there with you for organizing in Central Park in June of next year. 1 million people in Central Park. There we go. So I want to say a word about the crossroads that we find ourselves in now, and why independent parties like the People's Party are so important in this moment. We're at a historic crossroads for America and humanity with so many different converging problems. We have the war in Ukraine. We have a change at the scale of that hasn't been seen globally, geopolitically, that hasn't been seen since the Second World War. We have the greatest scale of change and pace of change now with the rise of the BRICS nations, the application of recently Mexico, of course, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Iran, so many different countries. We are seeing and witnessing in real time the birth of a different world. And it's our imperative now in the United States, as the country that is holding that back and fighting against that, we have the potential to offer an alternative. What if an imperial power, instead of going down in the way that other imperial powers have, as Rome, what if it participated in a militaristic conquest, a final last gasp of trying to wage war around any vassal state or any part of the world that now refuses to conform to its imperial order? What if instead in the United States, we actually participated in creating that world of peace and development in the future?
And that is why they hate the People's Party. And that is why they're going after Nick Brana right now. Nick Brana is an awesome guy. I am so glad that Cornel West is running for office. And look, this election coming up is going to be a circus. I don't know what's going to happen because it looks like they very much want to make this just a referendum where Joe Biden automatically wins. Because they don't want Trump to run. They're not going to have any Democrat primary debates. I am curious what's going to happen in this upcoming election. It is going to be a wild ride.